Good morning, everybody. It is really hot out. It is 106 degrees, but we are in the right vehicle for it because this is a 2017 Ford F-350 Super Duty. So if anything has ample air conditioning, it is a work truck. This one is actually been modified by a company called Hellwig. They make suspension. Specifically, this has a air leveling system on it, which is called their Big Wig. So it's a 2,800 pound level Hellwig Big Wig suspension. Also has a bunch of other stuff on it, as you can see by the beauty shots you're looking at right now, like the Arctic Cat that is a backpack on the bed of this thing. So that is attached to a rack that's made by a company called SherpTek, whose motto is no more trailers. So the whole point of this pretty crazy looking truck is to showcase Hellwig's sway control. You know, when you add a load to the bed or to any truck, or whether you're towing or throwing stuff in the bed, it's going to change the center of gravity, it's going to change the amount of force being put on the suspension, and that can make the truck handle very strangely. So they thought of a very clever way to showcase how they control sway and lean with their truck. So they put their air suspension on it, it's got a little lift kit on it by Icon, and it's got sway bars. Then they throw this giant 2,000 pound load in the back, which is the Arctic Cat, and they kind of sent it on its merry way. So it was given to me by Con Media, who represents Hellwig, and what we're going to do today is test it on a couple different surfaces. So we're going to take it for a road drive, see how it handles and how much of the weight I can feel. Then we're going to take it onto some light dirt, which is kind of what you would do with this thing, and then we're going to see how long it takes to get the Arctic Cat off and go play with that a little bit. So without further ado, let's see how this big boy feels. Now I have to say, when they drove up in this today, it was pretty weird. It was weird looking. It was very weird looking. I mean, it's as tall as it looks as tall as it is long. It's not quite. You can see the Arctic Cat moving a little bit on corners, but that's just because there's a little bit of give in the suspension, there's a little give in the tires, there's a little bit of lean from the bed. So it looks strange going down the road, but it also got a ton of thumbs up going down the road, because who's ever seen this before? I mean, this thing just screams. It just screams, let's go have a good time, doesn't it? It's a camoed F-350 Super Duty with a toy strapped to the back of it. Like, if you have this, you're only out for one thing. You are out for having a good damn time. I need these because it's the only thing brighter than a white car in the sun right now is my eyeballs. Got a light bar on top. We've got light bars in the front and the back, special grills. You know, it's outfitted like you'd expect for a off-road themed SEMA truck, which is what this was. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is how this feels going down the road. So I have to be honest, the last heavy-duty truck I drove was, man, that was like 5 years ago, and it was an empty 2500 HD. More recently, I drove an F-150 Platinum, which feels huge because trucks are getting gigantic. But what I can remember about heavy-duty work trucks, especially with a powertrain like this and suspension like this, you know, this thing's made to tow 32,000 pounds. The payload capacity is up near 10. You know, it's serious stuff. But what always was the case is when the trucks were empty, they always felt really stiff. You know, they would shatter over bumps, over expansion joints, because they're sprung to hold 10,000 pounds. You know those silly commercials where they drop a log from like 80 feet in the air as if this thing's a giant trampoline and the truck sags? Like, it's meant to take that kind of payload. So when it's empty, it's just too stiff. So this thing now has about 2,000 pounds in the bed. The rack system from SherpTek weighs 750 total. The Arctic Cat is a little bit over 1,000 with all the fluids and everything. So it's not like the max that this truck bed can take, but the center of gravity is much higher. You know, think of it like a lever, and we've basically added a bar going up the middle of the bed that now is being pulled from, I don't know what it is, about, I don't know, 5-6 feet above the bed. So to be honest, I can feel the truck moving a little bit. I mean, this road is not perfectly smooth, so over these little rollers and with a bit of the wind, the truck is kind of moving left to right about an inch or two, I would say. Kind of rhythmically. This is a pretty long turn. Definitely leans to the right a little bit. Man, it's weird. It's very weird. I mean, the truck also has a 3-inch lift, so we've got higher center of gravity there, plus the Arctic Cat. It's kind of strange. Now, the intent of this thing is to get rid of trailers, and I happen to have recently experienced this. On Drive on NBC Sports this year, we did a trip from Oregon to Portland, or sorry, from Boise to Portland, across Oregon. And about 40% of it was off-road. And as you may have seen, Alex Roy got a Sportsmobile, which is basically like an apartment on wheels. Mike Spinelli got a new Jeep Wrangler, which is, of course, the cheater's choice because it's the most capable thing in the world. And I drove an aerial Nomad, which seemed like a really good idea because it was gonna be a ton of fun. Now, I basically drove that car for 18 hours on tarmac and in 100-degree highways, all for about 20 minutes of drifting in the dirt. Was it worth it? Yes. Yes, it was, because I'm a moron, a glutton for punishment, and sliding sideways in the dirt is basically the most fun you can have, which is why this is attached to the top. But the lesson I learned from that trip, and why it's a perfect reference for what we're doing right now, is as much as we all like to pretend that we're hardcore driving enthusiasts and we would daily an F1 car and blah, 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 oh, I would love that for every minute, you wouldn't. I think what we do is we fantasize that if we are given an aerial Nomad or an F1 car to daily, we can drive it however we want that entire day and for that entire week. You can't. You have to sit in traffic. You have to go to a stop sign. Sometimes you get blasted in the face with diesel exhaust or sand. When you come to a stop, bees suddenly get very curious about the inside of your car. And when you're strapped into a harness, that's terrifying. That is a very frightening moment. So, this is kind of the solution. You want to be able to drive your fun vehicle in a fun way. You don't want to have to commute in it or sit in traffic in it. Now, that's what this does. You can bring the Arctic Cat or your toy to a fun place, drive it in a fun way, then strap it back to your truck and drive home with air-conditioned seats, a radio, doors, windows, blah, blah, blah. So that's what we're gonna think about today, is this the solution for people who don't want to trailer something, or you don't want to have an off-road trailer? I mean, if you have one of those kind of like light campers, they don't have a lot of ground clearance. They're very long, kind of cumbersome to tow around. I've seen those people like kind of dragging ass when they try to go up a steep dirt hill, or popping tires because they're not ready for rocks and things like that. There are off-road trailers, I know that, but they tend to be much shorter because they need to be more maneuverable. They're really expensive. They're about 100 grand plus. So this would be the option for someone who doesn't want to trailer something, but still wants to have a toy and wants to get to the fun place to drive. Pretty impressed. We're going 70 miles an hour, and the wind noise is really, really minimal. I didn't sleep very well. The wind noise is minimal, and that is pretty impressive for something that is, really like 2 shoe boxes glued vertically to the top of the roof. Got minimal wind noise. I mean, the truck itself is really quiet, really well built. Obviously, it's a high dollar, spec'd out F-350. We got a light bar, all the kind of fun off-road toys you'd expect. But I'm sure a lot of you were wondering how this would be on the highway. It won't be very noisy. Power lines are a little disconcerting because I don't know the clearance of this truck, but the guys that brought it here drove on the same road, so I know it'll be fine. Do you know the clearance of this truck? About 12, okay. I've just been informed that the clearance of this truck is about 12 feet. So, you gotta watch out for some low-hanging stuff and then watch your bridge signs, but you should be doing that if you're driving anything that's lifted anyway and paying attention as a driver. So we're in a long left-hand sweeper right before we get to our entrance to Rower Flats, which is where we're going. you know, I am impressed. I know initially I said it leans a couple of inches. It does, but then it sets. So you've got the air suspension on it that can manage payload, and then you have the sway bars on it that also manage tip. So while there is a bit of lean on the initial tip in, you know, definitely a few degrees, it doesn't feel like it's going to continue. So I don't know if that's an active suspension thing or if it's just the way the truck is set. But this is a pretty twisty road for a large vehicle, and I haven't crapped my pants yet. We are going to head to Rower Flats. The road gets much tighter, a couple of bumps on the way in. It's tarmac, then we're going to go to dirt. Because I think what you would do with this vehicle is you'd bring the toy to the fun place. And if you've ever been to an off-road park or an OHV area, they usually have an entrance road of varying length and varying condition. Like, I had to park my car down at the base of this road because in about 100 or 200 feet, it's going to turn to dirt. And that's usually how this is, how these places are. You drive on a dirt road, then you get to a parking area, then you go explore the trails. You know, you trail your dirt bikes in, whatever. Most of these places are trailer friendly because they know people want to bring vehicles of all shapes and sizes. But I do have to say, I really like not having to look back and seeing, you know, how much room I have on the side. Do I have enough room to turn with a trailer behind me? Backing up with a trailer, I know that a lot of you who tow regularly are going to say it's really easy. I am inexperienced in that. So if I was looking to get into off-roading, off-roading with a toy like that, this would be a good way to do it, where I can, I'm used to the size of my truck. I'm used to how it drives. I don't have to learn a brand new skill to get to where I want to go. Okay, road is definitely getting bumpy now. You probably can't see it from the outside camera. This looks like it's basically smooth, but there are chunks taken out of the road the entire way. Look like pretty big holes that were dug when this maybe got rained on. Think of like a salad bowl, and it's just salad bowls the whole way over here. Wow, this is significantly bumpy. I mean, I don't feel like I have to be as careful with my wheels because we have these giant Falcon off-road tires. It's got I think it's got beadlock wheels on it, lift kit. If I came through in my car, it'd be like trying to walk on, you know, glass. like, don't break the light bulbs. But this feels fine. I mean, obviously without something on top, I would feel more confident, and this is also a vehicle I'm not familiar with. But I mean, this is pretty damn convenient. When they first sent me the pitch for this thing, like, that's really weird. That is a weird, kind of crazy idea. It's one of those, you know, late at night, you're just kind of dreaming about what's possible, and you go, what if we didn't have to put the Arctic thing and the Arctic Cat in a trailer? And I know I've seen those guys on the highway that have four-wheelers like double stacked in the bed, like they did a 12 o'clock wheelie and then stopped, and they did another 12 o'clock wheelie and stopped. This is like that, but meant for it. You got some stowage around it. You can stow a hijack, you can stow gas cans. If you want, you can take the ramps out of the Sherpa deck, and then you can use it as a top-mounted tent, kind of like a sitting area, which is pretty cool. Good for overlanding, really. I really like those platform campers that people make, where they have like a platform tent mounted above their bed, keep you away from bears and lions and meth heads. All right, so we're navigating this undulating dirt road, and we're headed to the parking area and practice area of Rower Flats OHV Park, at which point we're going to unload the Arctic Cat, see how long that takes, and also test the off-road ability of this in a controlled environment. So we're going to take a break, but to you, it's just going to be magic. Magic. Okay guys, we have finished transiting on this little fire road. We came to this off-road practice area and unloaded the Arctic Cat. You'll see some B-roll where we took the truck on the little kind of off-road practice section just to show you that it has some good wheel articulation, decent wheel articulation, and that it can handle going up and down some lightly steeper stuff. I know it's not hard off-roading, but the point of this vehicle is to bring your off-road toy to a playground like this. So I see this as being an asset for someone who wanted to overland, but you don't want to pick between, do I take my practical off-road vehicle or do I take a fun thing? You know, when we've done the All Cars Go to Heaven videos, which are available on Vimeo, we brought fun vehicles. We brought a Tercel, we brought an Elantra, we brought a Previa. We brought things that we could drive really hard. There were times where those were uncomfortable vehicles, or there were times where they were outmatched by the terrain. If you have the means, you don't have to pick one or the other. You can't drive an Arctic Cat or a Razor or anything like that on the highway in most places. But there's plenty of campsites you'd get to and go, man, I really wish I had that here. So if you want to take a week and drive across the state off-road, you take this on the fire roads, you know, some light off-roading, you know, deep into the forest or the mountains, set up your campsite, and then you could go rail around and go exploring in something that's more nimble. You know, turning this around on a Jeep trail would be very, very difficult. That's why you can kind of have your cake and eat it too with this setup. Now, it is expensive. I mean, the truck alone is like $80,000 because it's a really nice Super Duty. You add all the things to it. You add the truck, the bed from SherpTek, and then the Arctic Cat. It's a lot of money. You know, I think total it's $180,000, but you've got suspension mods, sway bars, shocks. It's auto leveling, so when you add load or take off load, it maintains its, you know, its stance. It's a very smart system. This company's been doing this for like 73 years. So it costs money, but that's okay. I mean, if you have it, this is a fun thing to have. If you don't have the money, like I don't, then you make do with what you can. But doesn't matter, because now we've got the Arctic Cat unloaded, and we're gonna go see if we can beat Matt's time up the Ridge Road. So if you wanna watch his Velar video, it took about half an hour. I think we're gonna do it a little quicker than that. So thank you for watching. Keep an eye out for the podcast, new one takes. Follow us on all the social media, and check out our awesome t-shirts. What is faster up Rower Flats Trail? Matt in a Land Rover, or a man with nothing to live and his unwilling partner in an Arctic Cat? I can't believe he did this in a Land Rover with like basic tires on it. I really can't. This thing has upgraded Elka shocks on it, which are butter smooth. Do a really good job of soaking everything up. It's got a 951cc engine, naturally aspirated, no turbo. Makes about 90 horsepower, but it weighs like 1,000 pounds. And we're in two-wheel drive right now, two-wheel drive. And we're gonna take the non-glass way. Two-wheel drive, all right, we're gonna go to four-wheel. Now we have no hill ascent control. Like nothing. Like nothing. We were definitely doing a burnout up that hill. Mark the time. All right, we started at 2:35. straddle. This feels like cheating. We'll go the short way. This is like a really weird boat ride. Okay. Broward Trail, Black Diamond. Just give it gas. I definitely get the benefit of having a vehicle that can like drive you here and do this, but unless you have like a purpose-built Jeep or King of Hammers thing, like you have to go so much slower. This is I feel like a hamster could do this. Steering rack is super quick. It's like 30% throttle. Slow down for a little momentum. This is nuts. Bad line. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Three-wheeling. Doesn't matter. Okay, I have huge respect for Matt coming up this in normal vehicles, because these undulations may look small on camera, but I mean some of them rise above the door line, which is pretty nuts. This makes it look much, much easier than it is. You just steer and go. On a scale of 1 to 7-Eleven burrito, how sick do you feel?
Slurpee.
What?
Slurpee.
Slurpee. All right, good. Amazing. Amazing. There is something to be said for a vehicle that has one job and one job only. Go back to two-wheel drive, see how it do. Just push of a button. Keep in mind, it's like 103 degrees out right now, and we are cruising. So whoops. Two-wheel drive, get the momentum, place your wheels accordingly. insane. Like, all my off-road experience is with cars that are meant to never be driven off-road. That's like eating soup with a fork. This is like, here's a ladle. This is so easy. It's been 10 minutes. Rocks, no problem. You do one-handed. Look, mountain lion. Just kidding. You are allowed to talk, by the way, if you so choose.
I didn't know.
30 minutes later, thank God. I have so much to say. I don't know if this is the way Matt went, but they all seem to go to the same place. Still in two-wheel drive.
I can't believe you did that.
I can't believe he did it either. We're throwing up some dust. Little bit of wheel slip there, but I mean, it weighs so little. You know, this is like 10 pounds per horsepower. All right. That's a wall. I have no idea if he went this way. But I'm convinced it doesn't matter where we go. Just straddle the crags. This is making me look much better at this than I am. Two goals: don't pop a tire and don't roll down the hill. That's it. This is incredibly bumpy. I mean, when we were coming in on those whoops, it was like being on a lake in a boat, just kind of rolling over things. Yeah. So if Matt did this in a car with, you know, off-road like air suspension, but it's still a Land Rover, you can just see the difference in speed you have to take.
I can't believe you had the ground clearance for that.
Yeah, man, those things, you know, they lift up well, and it's like, when you don't have a lot of ground clearance, it's all about tire placement and like, where's your oil pan? You know, so don't send the big rocks under the tire if you can, and protect the oil pan. We don't have a temp gauge, but it's not saying anything. No red lights are flashing. 9 miles an hour. In some places, you know, he had a wider stance than we do, so that actually helps. Yes. What do you think, Connor? Okay. If we die, it's your fault. Witness. Nope. Woo! All right, well, we're in it now. No way! No way! I am quite sure that's the way that Matt approached and then took an audible on, which I get. That was really sharp stuff. About about these is like, I know we have ground clearance similar to trucks, but it just feels, I mean, it's small and you have such good visibility. Like, I feel like I really know more of the tip limits of this, where in a Wrangler, it just, you're so removed because of all the padding and insulation. I don't know, it just feels like a harder thing to manage. We're like 2 minutes away from the summit. Go around that thing. Wow. Serious props to Matt Farah though. Serious. This is no fucking joke. Where'd my phone go? Ah. Can we shoot? I wonder if we can shoot back. Just to show people. I don't know if that does it justice. It's pretty steep. And these ruts are like the size of our tire. It's moving around a lot. I'm gonna give you this in case something catches our eye, but we're cruising. Problem. Moving on up, moving on up, moving on up to that great big cactus in the sky. Yeah, we're moving on up, moving on up, moving on up, moving on up. Gonna say not middle.
Yeah, not middle. Right?
Right seems like the way to go. Ah, Pete! Pete! It's the problem when you have no doors or windows. Dude, this is some shit. We got a lot of dust. I think we got some wheel spin, but we're motoring. Wow! What it is, there's just like an approachability to these vehicles combined with like you can just sense how sure-footed they are, and it just gives you confidence. It's crazy. Like, if I was in a brand new off-road like Wrangler or Ram, I'd be going all careful, especially if I didn't own it. And this is like, it feels like boogie boarding. It's like, yeah, just you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Rock down the middle. Wow. Home stretch, that's our tree, that's our finish line. Will you shoot forward on this last part?
Yeah.
Speed. There we go. Mid slate. 4-wheel burnout. Big bumps moving around. There's like no loss of momentum. Big rock. endless progression forward. Endless progress wherever we want to go. Wherever you are, that's the place to be. Boom. And we'll take the hard way. Shortcut. Bam! Done. Like 20 minutes. So, did it in a third the time that Matt did it in. I'm pretty sure. He possibly did it slower. Came from way down there. This is amazing. These are incredible. The shocks on this are phenomenal. Battery's about to die. Man, there's just something to be said for driving a vehicle that is meant to do only one thing and one thing well. That was as easy as driving a boat. That's crazy. Hope you guys like that. Check out the video of the Hellwig F-350. Watch the podcast, listen to the podcast, all the things. Thank you for watching.